Hello, Karen Bierce here, and I'm working on Junk Journal January. It's been a hot minute. It'll be interesting to see if I get these videos up one after the other because we have some travel coming up. But I want to get the videos made and I need some playtime big time. It's been over a week since I've been able to play. Let's talk about this first because this is just pure joy. And right now at Barnes & Noble, I've got this and it was 30% off because it's a 2025 calendar. Katie Daisy is one of my favorite. I've had a number of her planners and I just you can't procrastinate with her because they sell out. So that really bit. I couldn't find her. I didn't search really, really hard, but I love her journals, like her planners. And basically it has, it's one of those, what do you call it? A desktop calendar. But it's great because she has all these great quotes and journal boxes. So my idea for this, and I've done this before, I've bought these and I've been less good about implementing them, is to use this in these or, in my scrapbooking. I love the fact that there's journal spots. It's kind of cool. Like, look at that. That would be great. So that's one of my goals. And to just have it on my desk. The other thing is this brings me joy. I am looking for simple ways. Here's your mental health tip of the day. And everyone's talking about it. If you follow, any of the mental health people, is you have to find little bits of joy every day. That doesn't matter what your income is. This was not expensive. The joy every day that you can start with just by flipping a page and reading the quote, especially if you're, paper person. Yeah. And the other thing that's really cool is they use forest friendly, like they have all these Forest Stewardship Council and that good stuff. But they also got rid of the plastic desktop. Normally these have plastic, right? Like a little easel that goes with them. And they switched it to a cardboard one, which is made of recycled materials and can be recycled. So I love that as I try to cut my footprint and get rid of one-use plastics. Brilliant. So not affiliated in any way whatsoever. Just love that. So here's I got this one 2022, and this is the idea, but I was using it to write sort of notes every day. Well, that was my goal. You can see how well I did. For Project Life, welcome to the world of ADD, where you have a great idea and then don't necessarily follow through with it. So, yeah, we'll see if we can pull some of these out. Because look, the images are so great for what we do, right? And so many images. You can actually buy the older ones. I did buy one, but by mistake, it was last year's. So you can buy the older one. There's a 2024 on Amazon. You just can't get the 2025, which is very inconvenient because I was very excited to going back to this. And, it was $15. So it's a pretty good price for all these great images. Let's find another image. Look at that. Look at that. If you like wildlife and butterflies and whatnot, and I have cut these out before, but I just love that. I love the idea of, too, when you're traveling, or when you travel journal, or you want to, say you're doing a week in the life or whatever, you can use that layout to jot down what you did every day. Just beautiful artwork. But, okay, enough about that. Now let's talk about what we're going to do today. So today's prompt is tissue. I've pulled out a few tissues. Again, I had lunch with Eileen Hull the other day, or a few weeks ago now. It's time. And she gave me a pack of these mushroom napkins. She knows I love mushrooms. So I got a few mushroom things. So I thought I really want to do that. I want to do more. I love mushrooms and I don't do nearly enough. And then I pulled out some of the Tim Holtz collage paper. So my idea was to do a background. This is the page I'm going to do it on. To do a background of tissue paper, and then have the mushrooms on top. I have a stash of mushroom die cuts, mushroom stamps, all of those things that I have. I'm embarrassed to say I don't think I've ever used any of them. I just collect them. So I'm going to pull some of them out because my new thing in life, again, is to use the things. I pulled out this one. This is collage paper. What's it called? Document. I don't know if you can still get these. I've had them forever and I don't use them nearly enough. And my idea was to sort of do these. This is already sort of, obviously collaged. I mean, look at that. I don't know how the glare is because it does have sort of a deli print finish as far as tissue goes. So there's a bit of a sheen, I think, probably. So it is already kind of collage. So I could either just, slap that down and then go from there. And then also I do love these types of one. This is a numbers one. I don't know what it's called. I'm sorry. I can look it up. And this one's entomology. And it has the butterflies and it still has those great images as well. Butterflies and moths and things and bugs, bees. Oh, we could put a bee on here. Another one of my favorite things. So the idea, I thought of doing a background like that and then fussy tearing the mushrooms and layering the mushrooms. And I really kind of wanted to use another one of these fairy girls that I used. I thought that might be great because then, you'd have a fairy and a fairy. Although, it still would look great, right? Like this is the page is like that. So we've got that one. And then, so I'm going to warn you, I'm a little scattered today and I'll tell you why. Let's get some glue though. This is great. So first challenge of the day, I've been away. And look, my brushes are literally stuck to the bottom of my empty, one of my favorite cups, that mugs that became a perfect water bowl. This is what you do with them when you break the handles off by mistake. Yeah, so look, here's a glue brush, as I said, but now it hasn't been in water. So we'll see. Sometimes you can revive them. If not, they're not expensive. Let's get some water. So my paintbrush is a solid. I put it in water to see if I can revive it. All my paintbrushes are basically solids. And this is a good example of what happens to your glue brush if you don't keep it wet. It's a solid. So I'm going to soak it in water and see if I can revive it. If not, I don't. This is why I don't buy expensive brushes, except this one. I don't know if it's expensive, but this is specifically for this, so I thought I'll use it. I'm running out of the medium. I checked. I don't think I have another jar, but we can use this up and then go to decoupage glue. I found another. This one's really cool. Look at that palette. That's pretty cool. So I might have to throw some in there as well. So I thought I'll start with my scrap because why not? And I do like the idea of the jiggy edges and of it not being, this is what's great about these. You don't even need to layer them and tear them because you could just stick the whole thing down, So the question is, do I want the jagged edge, which I do like that look, or do I want to trim it up and have it be, you know what? Let's go with that and see what happens. Because I can always change it as I go. Again, I like to, this is going to be tricky because this is kind of absorbent. Absorbent? Do you ever feel like you've just lost your ability to speak English? Like that's what I feel like. I'm losing my words, verbiages. I think it's because I have this theory that if you make fun of people, like I've made fun of my mother, in a nice way, but because of her ties to Britain, she says lieutenant, right? Which is the way the Brits say it. And of course, she's spent her whole life in Canada pretty much. So we were always like, there's no F. And again, I love my mother. I will throw that out there. She also says fajita. And we're always like, Mom, there's no R in fajita. Fajita. So now I think what happens, the universe, God, whatever deity you follow, goes, oh, you're going to make fun of people because they say words wrong? Well, we're going to hand you a bit of that too. And yeah. So now I find that I'm constantly mispronouncing words. I'm like, no. How do you pronounce that? I'm becoming my mother. My mother's wonderful, so I guess that's not so bad. All right, so that's one. It's going to look very different. I know it's very shiny right now. And again, let's see if we can't prop that up. There we go. So I'm kind of tempted to throw in some of this, because look how fun that is. I'm not sure I like that it, but mind you, they're square here, so I guess we could always tear it, but I like that it has the words above it. But I don't like that it's, mind you, let's just go for it. Let's just put it down. We can always, there's always washi tape. I think I need a t-shirt that says that. There's always washi tape. Of course, non-crafters won't get it. So yes, the reason why I was not making at all, I went up to Montreal to see my mother, and it's like a 10-hour drive. Took me 11 hours with traffic and a snow squall. I drove through a snow squall. That was fun. So, of course, I went to see my mom. I got back on Saturday, and she gets moved to a new facility. What? 4 days later? 4 days later. No. Couldn't have done it when I was there. That would have been way too convenient. Okay, I just tore another piece of this, and I'm just going to put that there. Yeah, so she had been in the hospital. She broke her elbow, and she'd been in a hospital, couldn't go back to her residence, and ended up needing more care than the residences can provide. And yeah, it kind totally sucks. But anyway, this is life. This is what happens. You need to live close to your people. I'm trying to instill in my kids how important it is. And I know it's harder, but I think what I'll do is I will just cut it. I could tear it after, I guess. So yeah, so it's highly inconvenient because she's nowhere near. She's an hour, pretty much, with traffic, an hour drive for anyone to visit her from our immediate family. 9 hours and 42 minutes for me. So that's just great. And it just sucks. Sucks to the sucks. Uh-oh. Okay. Phew. All right. I don't mind having some of that blue peek out. I think that's fun. I like the segue of that to that. So now I'm going to have to set that aside to dry and, of course, go clean my brush. Here we go with the tissue. Oh, I just love this. It just feels of mushrooms. So when you get napkins, they have either 2 or 3 layers, so extra layers that you want to peel off for a number of reasons. Number one, if I glue this down and I don't peel these off, I could get air bubbles because the glue doesn't necessarily go all the way through. And number two, if you want it to be more translucent, which as I'm saying this, I'm not sure I do. So I might want to glue it on a white piece of paper and then cut it out. Another really fun hot tip is if you take a piece of Scotch tape, if you have troubles pulling up, you know, the corners or finding the layers, and you put it not where the little designs are, but sort of in the middle where it's flat, because like there's like this, I don't know what you call that, but if you put it where it's flat, and of course I glued it all the way down, that's not what you're supposed to do. You put half of it, and you just put half of the tape so it's easy to, and then you pull it up. What happens is it will take that first layer and then make extraction easier. Now, one thing this is great for is stamping on. So, you know how I did a few days ago, I put a Seth Apter stamp. I'll show you. If you stamp on this part, the flat part, and you glue it down with decoupage, it's translucent. And it looks like you actually stamped on the thing you stamped on. And then I guess if you wanted to, you could use this and then you'd have a bit of texture. So that stuff is good, good, good. I think there's another layer, so let's see. I'll do it properly this time. Scattered, scattered. So you take your tape and you put it down and you hold the other half and you pull up. Oh, maybe there's only one. Feels like there should be another. Maybe not. Oh, yeah, see? See? Yep. So, there's that. Plus, I don't know why this is very satisfying to do this. Again, it is very relaxing. And I'll tell you what, I can use some relaxing right now. Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm going to do to start with, trying to think. So even if I just want to put these images straight down, I'll do it this way. I don't think you need to be that much closer. I'm just going to take a bit of wet water brush. You can just use a paintbrush as well. And I'm just going to, I don't want to go right next to the image. And I do kind of want to, you want to make sort of like a fussy cut line, I guess, because I don't want to tear the actual image. And then you just come along and tear around the image. And see, because that's going to, I have to be careful. So if you use you hold your thumb and your finger so that you don't actually tear the actual image. Now, what this will do, let's dry it a bit. What this will do is when I glue it down, because it's a raggedy image, it just sort of melts into the background, as opposed to if I were to cut it, I would have, you can kind of see the line. So because it's sort of like that, like torn. So that's kind of cool. So I'm going to pull out a few of those. Actually, if you go to Eileen Hull's Etsy, one day my goal is to sell these in my Etsy shop. But right now, if you go to Eileen Hull, I'll link below. She sells packages of napkins. I wanted to show you while I was doing this. Again, I'm trying to do more batch stuff. So I've got my and that got wet. 3 images. Put those aside. I ended up putting them in my water. And I decided I'll do a tag while I'm here. Probably would be a good idea to do a couple of things. And then the question is, where do you put them so you can find them? That's my biggest question right now, because I was thinking about that. I made some of my own alcohol ink. I have a video, cellophane tape with alcohol ink in different colors. Do you think I know where I put it? And, which leads perfectly segue into the Decluttering Organization 2025 Challenge, because one of the big things, Dana K. White, who's the organizer that Kara Brandon worked with, says you put your stuff where you would first think to look for it. And that's one of the biggest challenges we crafters have, is we can't find things because we don't know where we put it. And where would I go to find cellophane tape? And I already know what the answer is. It would be where my Tim Holtz cellophane tape is. That's where it should go. So now what I have to do is find it so I can put it in its proper home. Haha. In the meantime, I wanted to give you a hot tip. I came along and I just grabbed a manila tag and covered the tag with the collage medium and laid my napkin on top. One of the hot tips is when you're smoothing it out, because it's very fragile tissue, and when you put glue, you're wetting it. You really want to start from the middle and very gently. Now, Tim Holtz's collage tissue is a little more durable than a napkin that's only one layer. And you want to, spread it out like that. Now, I had a bunch of air bubbles because I didn't do a great job. It took me a minute to go from the tag to here, so some of the glue had dried. You just come in, and I always do 2 layers anyway. I just came on top with another layer of the glue and then literally went very gently and pushed, because it's somewhat porous, so the glue will go through it. You just have to be careful not to tear it, because when you have an air bubble and you come in with wet on top, you can sometimes tear your napkin. And this isn't going to be perfect. I can already tell there's spaces, but you know what? It doesn't matter. Again, caveat makes me, look how fun that is. So I'm thinking I should do a page or something, like an image, or, and then the question is where to put it so we can find it. So now I've got this glue down. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. It is actually very flat, so that's great. And I'm just going to come along, and there's a couple of ways you can do this, of course. I could take scissors, and if I wanted, a perfect edge, could take scissors, but I'm just going to tear it, sort of pulling towards the back. And I do want, I'm like the idea of it just being sketchy. This is not very matte, even though it is technically collage medium matte. It's pretty glossy right now. So I don't know if it's because I'm at the end of the bucket or what, but I will pop that up to try and prevent some glare. So I'm just going to do the same thing. Like I'm going to tear at the bottom. Just like that. And then the line for the book kind of goes right here. So I'm just going to take, I'll take the ruler. Sorry guys, just got to have some glare for a minute. Put my arm across it. And it's very dark. We're supposed to have an ice storm tonight. Woohoo! That is so fun. So I've got some white gesso. A little bit of Dina Wakley white gesso and a paintbrush. And I think what I'm going to do is just kind of guesstimate where this guy goes. I want it to be a bit sketchy. Kind of like that. Kind of like that. We'll see. This might look ridiculous. Now that gesso is going to dry. It won't be as strong there. And then this one, I think I'll do a lighter coat for this. We'll see. So I'm going to just do the same thing that we've been doing. Or that I've been doing. Yes, I went up to Montreal, and it was, well, first of all, driving up there, I had good weather all the way up until I hit about just before Watertown. Watertown's a snow belt. And I got to Watertown, and oh my gosh, I drove into a snow squall, which was crazy. It was literally the space of a football field, I went from completely dry road to wet road with a tiny bit of flurries to 2 to 3 inches of snow on the ground, full on. Visibility was terrible, blasting snow, just a blizzard. And put it this way, the 18 wheelers were going, 25 with their hazards on. And if the 18 wheelers are shuddering to a halt, you should be too. So that was crazy. And then people were pulling off at the very next exit, and I actually felt pretty comfortable about my driving. I haven't done a lot of snow driving in the last few years, but I've done a bit. And again, having grown up there, learned how to drive in it. So I felt pretty comfortable. I just kept going. And then 20 minutes later, just drove completely out of the storm. So it was literally just blasting across the highway. And I felt so bad for all the people that had pulled over because, it was coming across. So it was just going to get worse and worse and worse. So and then the rest of the drive was, you wouldn't have even known there was snow. I ended up within no time at all being on dry roads and sunny skies. So that was crazy. I want to kind of tone down the white and just touch it up a little bit. I do love how that really made those pop, and it was pretty simple. But I think what I'm going to do, and of course now I've got this blob of white. I was trying not to waste it. I think what I'm going to do is add some, these are called matte tint, and it's from Paper Artsy. And they come in a bunch of colors. They're just sort of, it's a fairly new product, but they've coming out with more colors. So I've got Fern, Dragonfly, and Nutty. And I thought what I would do is see, now, as I'm saying, I'm not sure it's going to work because of I just want to tone that down a bit. We'll see. I might need something a little more opaque. These are very translucent. Yeah, drove through the snow squall, made it to Montreal without any more drama, and saw my mom, and she was doing okay. No, see, that's too light. It's too tinty on the, I put some up here just to see, get a piece of paper to show. It's like a gloss. It's very light, very light. And of course, if I do another layer, it's a little bit darker, but it doesn't seem to be liking the gesso. Looks good on paper though. I'm sorry, don't you love that? I just love that. Squirrel. Okay, I am going to try something else. I've grabbed some Distress paint in peeled paint. Distress paint's very fluid, so maybe that'll give me what I'm looking for. And again, I just want to tone down that white. And I could just add some more. Could do a couple of colors too. Kind of keep in line with. I could add washi tape here. Oh yes, the ever-present washi tape. I could put a little more, just a little smattering of that. That might be fun. And again, I'm doing this to relax. It's very stressful. Getting phone calls about my mother and what we need to do. And I am so far away. So that's been a lot. I really can't go back right now. Just can use my finger and put a bit of glue here. Yeah, I like that. And then I can be careful. I don't want to lose my mushroom. But that'll work. That'll work. And then I can just trim it. It's that thing, you kind of want to tear it. There we go. Trim it, fold it back. This video got incredibly long, so I'm speeding it up. And here I'm just, making a little patch for that area that I don't like. Okay, that looks good. I like that. Again, this is just very relaxing. But I do think I need another color. I don't want to just do all the same color because it doesn't match with the background. Well, this just became a hot mess. I kept trying to patch different areas. Now, granted, I was really enjoying the process, but to watch on a video was extremely boring. So I've cut a chunk out. And just know that if you were to do this, just make the gesso fit where the object that you're gluing down is, instead of where I sort of slapped it all down. That was the problem to start with. So I end up starting over. All right, I decided on a do-over. Grab some more paper, and I'm just going to glue these on top, sort of replacing that, because I did really like that, and I like that that goes like that. And then I grabbed another piece of this. So I'm just going to glue these down and fix this mess. Right, so I wanted to show you the fix before I continued on. I've just added more of that tissue paper on top. That's a good way of looking at it. And you can still see the mushrooms very faintly, but I'm just going to put the mushrooms directly on top of there. And I am going to do the white gesso again because I think that was very successful. I'm just going to be much more mindful when I do it. So I will show you that. It feels so great though. It's just luscious. So I will go recut out the mushrooms, and I'll show you how I'm going to fix that gesso situation. Right, I'm coming to you from the next day. I had to leave this and move on to other things. So what I've done, I've taken my V-ball. I don't know if you can see it. And I've just outlined. Obviously, I can see the top of the top of the mushroom here. This is how we're starting out. And then the lines, I've lined both sides of that. And then this one I just glued on top of copy paper. So, and I'm going to fussy cut it, because I did not like at all how the white of the tissue showed through the stems. So I've got my gesso, white gesso, and I might actually water it down just a little bit. I'm just going to do a sploosh, not as much as last time. Waste not, want not. And I think I just added some water from my, cup. Okay, so I'm going to be a little more careful this time. And I'm just going to follow along. So yeah, this is a lot of work to fix this potentially, and you don't have to do that, right? Like, I could have just gone on my merry way, but I was feeling like fixing it instead. I'll let that dry a bit, and then I'll come back and add some more. So we have a gloomy, icy day here today. The trees are all covered in ice this morning. Oh, there's under here as well. I'm coming, I think I just said that, I'm coming at you the next day. I was going through some old papers, schoolwork of the kids, purging that stuff. last night, and also some jewelry of my mom's, you know, just custom jewelry. And it's kind of neat. I brought her jewelry home because of being at a residence. It just wasn't, the door was opened, unlocked all day kind of thing. But it was kind of neat to look at. She doesn't really wear rings anymore because she has pretty good osteoarthritis. And it was neat to go through the rings that I was so used to seeing her wear years and years. All right, let's get that to dry. I hit that with the heat gun just to give it a little quick dry. I just wanted to show you my cup. Yep, that's what I am. Chaos coordinator. My cup coffee this morning. Haven't quite had enough for my brain to be awake. But, you know, we work with what we have. Okay, so I'm hoping that'll be good enough. And I can always outline it. That's the other thing. Earlier in the video, I showed you that my brushes were a solid. And I left them to soak overnight in water. Look, revived. But you can see this is what glue does to it. It like eats, like it's all deformed. This used to be a really nice, this is one of my favorite type of brushes. Of course, you can't see what it's called because of my lovely paint everywhere. All right, so I'm just going to put some decoupage glue on this. Now, I'm going to go a little bit further out because my mushroom goes a little bit further out. We'll see. I think it should be good. And again, the key really is when you're doing this is to work sort of from the middle. Okay, that's much better, isn't it? I'm going to do a test up here, actually. Let me get some glue. I'm not loving how glossy this is, just because, so I'm going to put some in the corner. So sometimes, you know, it's whatever the top layer. So if I put, this might tone down that glossiness or that shine. So we'll see. Yeah, so I can't believe it. All those brushes got revived that were solids just by leaving them overnight in water. So yay. And then I'm looking at this area was the area that I had painted over. And it is definitely, there's a difference. It's not super matte, but it's definitely has knocked that shine back a bit. So I might cover that up. I guess what I would do next probably, I want to sort of outline these a bit to get rid of this. Make it just to tone down the white that we have going on there. I don't know if, I wasn't sure if I should just do it in a brown so that I'm outlining the mushrooms, but I thought I'd start with, I don't know, this is probably not even red, candied apple, a little bit red, just to see. I'm trying to lean more into the calm down mixed media thing instead of the, it isn't perfect. It doesn't look, my mushrooms on my collage papers don't look natural. No, really? Yeah, I think I want to do it in brown. I think I'm going to outline it in brown. Walnut stain. Walnut stain's pretty dark. I already like that better than the red, so that's good. So I do have a bit of a scratchy throat today, so I apologize if I'm sound scratchy than usual. So yeah, we were watching Outlander last night, and I'm behind. I had watched, we sort of rewatched a bit of 7, and then now we're towards the back end of 7. season 7. And I've read the books. I've read the books multiple times. Every time a new one comes out, I read, at least the book before, if not a few before. And so this isn't as dark as I would like it. It's not liking, of course it's not liking the glue. Let's do the math now. Why does it not like the glue? Because watercolor, and the glue is resisting it. But we can be more stubborn than the glue, right? Make sure you're on camera here. Yeah, I like that. And if this doesn't dry super well or doesn't work, I think what I can do is go to, I didn't want to go to Stabilo because it's much darker. Distress crayon is more of a permanent, so I could do that, but we'll see. So season 7, and my husband and I are watching it. It's interesting to watch it unfold, and they stay very true to the books, which I love. And they sometimes change the order of things just for flow, but they do a great job of sticking within the spirit of the book for sure, which is nice. I've watched series where they just, like True Blood, so different than the books. It's not even in the same realm. And you kind of, like, what the heck did you do to this beloved book? But anyway, and True Blood has its own merits. It was, I don't know, it was very, very different than the books. I kind of wish they would redo that and put more of the comedy stuff. True Blood, the books were actually quite funny as well. Just going to go in here and highlight the shading that's already within the mushroom. Just fun now. I'm just having fun now. This is relaxing again. Okay. It's good. I'm just confused because I know that so season 7 is up on, I think it's on Stars. Season 7 is up. And what I'm confused about is she hasn't finished writing. So she said that she's on book 10. I'm not sure what book the show is on. I think they are pretty close. They've skipped some stuff. But I'm just confused because she hasn't finished. The next book isn't going to come out till probably 2026, I think. So she's in process. It takes her anywhere from 5 to 8 years to write these books because they're so big, and she's very historically accurate. So she does a lot of research. So I just don't know how they're going to finish. And I know she's a consultant on the show, so I don't know. Maybe she's told them. I don't know. I'm just confused. I'm confused how this season 8's the last season, but there's going to be 10 books, and she's not done writing. It's kind of like Games of Thrones, I guess. That happened with Games of Thrones. And why, yes, we do watch too much TV, but TV's gotten so good as part of the problem from back in the day. Holy schmoly. All right, that's much better. So, now what, you say? That's what I say. I have no idea. I'm going to go grab a fairy. Let's start with a little fairy girl. I'm going to show you a shot of the carnage that is my desk right now. But how fun is this? This is a pink monarch as well. And I am going to do a video on this. It's super simple. 9 is the base. And then August 2024, which is French countryside, with a few other ditties thrown in. Like that background is just 49th and Market, but I made these. God, don't you just love this? Mushroom. And then so fun to do. So fun to do. And my challenge is I make these and then I don't put them into my books. So there's a bit of a disconnect with my systems, apparently. But that I put the note there so I remember 4. So it's the idea being it would be pretty much like what we have going on, but how fun. I did want to show you the system I've come up with. So I've got it labeled. I don't know if you can see that, Pigmark Art Digital. And these are bins. I bought these. They're like the Sterilite bins. I bought them on Amazon, but my colors. And I'm so far liking it. So this is the bingo parlor kit, bits and pieces. This is my organizer book. So I've got a number of different organizing styles in here. And then these are the other, if I want to add to that book. And again, these are the bigger pieces of the bingo parlor in a page protector. So yeah, I've just sort of grabbed all my different bags, but this is working. This is working. So I know what kit it comes from. And mainly, again, for videos. If you're not doing videos, you don't have to worry about where the bits and pieces came from. But, you know, I like to know too, to be honest. I pulled out a couple. I don't think these are all of them. I know these aren't all of them, but I pulled out a couple. I already know I like that little girl. So I want something sitting there. Now I just want to add these everywhere. You know, maybe we need 3. I also got, isn't that cool? And I got a couple little pieces. I thought maybe I could do a little cluster up here. And I do have some die cuts that I do want to pull out. So I will cut some of this stuff and I'll be back. I brought you back down to a reasonable level. Okay, so I wanted to test, like I had shown you, on this page, these fairy girls have a fussy cut line. I cut some of the fussy cut line out. I'm not a huge fan of the fussy cut line, depending on what I'm doing. But I like that. That's good enough, and that makes it a lot easier. So I'm basically not going perfectly all the way to her body. I'm just sort of cutting like that. And then, again, it's hard for me to see. So it does make it a lot faster than trying to, you know, so you get the idea. And then I did distress her edges in Vintage Photo. And I think she's just going to sit there. Oh, so cute. I was kind of trying to figure it out because but it's fine. I'm like, you know what? It's fine. Sit there. Just like that. She'll be good. It'll be grand. And I brought out, again, I love that. So I'm thinking, though, I might distress that in more of a, I don't know, we'll see. Maybe just do it in the brown to be simple. So the other show we've been watching, or we blasted through, was The Diplomat. Season 2 came out. Oh my goodness, do they love ending their shows on cliffhangers. Holy free holy. It is kind of frustrating now. This is the one, like, as good as TV's gotten, and you kind of feel like you're watching mini movies all the time. The one frustrating thing I find is when you have shows that have, you know, 8 episodes. I mean, back in the heyday, right? Like 24 episodes and lasted all season. And now some of these shows, it's, you know, 8 episodes, 9 episodes, 10. It's frustrating because then, of course, you binge watch it on a weekend or whatever. Instead of watching a movie, let's watch a few episodes. And then it's over. And you have to wait another year for the next little 8 episode series. So again, whine, complain. It is though. TV has gotten good. The writing is good. The character development, the acting. You have so many movie actors, and not to say that, you know, TV actors, but when you have people like, and of course Harrison Ford, for example, in 1923 and Shrinking, there's just a level to TV now that's great. Oh my goodness, love that. Look at those little fairy girls. I really like this too somehow. Might put it over here. We'll see. Bigger gap. This girl makes it closer. Okay. So let's glue those little girls down. So I've distressed the edges of these guys. And I want to add a little bit of fun behind the shenanigans. So I'm thinking I like the idea of this because it sort of ties in with this over here, nesty. And I will just glue, just going to take a glob of glue. To the pile. Not being super efficient or careful. Pull that over a bit. There we go. All right. And then I am going to put just a couple of staples for fun. So I was trying to think where I got this. And honestly, I think it's from cutting burlap. And, you know, this kind of thing, like this canvas. This was canvas. But I've done a number of canvas things. And from trimming it and pulling the edges, that's where that could have come from. Honestly, don't 100% remember. So I'm leaning to having it sort of poke up a bit. Okay, I pulled out Tim Holtz Funky Florals. And because I want some little mushrooms here, I'll show you what I have on my desk. And I might have showed you this. I have this just clipped, and although it's magnetic, it's on a magnetic thing as well. And that way it helps me not lose my dies, my die cuts. So I've cut this out. I thought it was white. It's pretty funny. It was fairly dark by my machine, by my Big Shot. And I actually cut them out on a cream paper. All right, speeding this up. I pulled out some Distress watercolor pencils, and I'm using Peacock Feathers, Salty Ocean, Vintage Photo, Gathered Twig. And I'm just going to color in the pieces. I'm zoomed in a bit. I really wish I had used watercolor for this because A, I'm going on a cream background. B, if you work it too much, you get like little piling where you get the little bits and pieces. But again, it's mixed media, just wanting to, you know, add a little bit of fun to this. Building up layers of color, putting the watercolor brush right directly on the stick. Now there's, you know, it's a little bit wet, so then when I add in the color directly to it, it's a bit darker. So that's kind of what I was looking for. And then I'm going to come in here with some Uncharted Mariner and try and do a little bit of shading just to get those variations of color. But loving it so far. Here I'm going to start working on the stem, and I'm going to use the browns that I pulled out. If you don't have Distress watercolor pencils, you can use straight up watercolor trays. You can use Distress inks. You know, I've done that before, where you just sort of squish it on your mat and then use the color, just really whatever it is that you have. But I'm just going to add some color to these layers and then put them together. All right, one little guy. Let's bring the book back. Is that too weird that it's such a drastically different color? Of course, I immediately want to come in here and do more to this guy. What do we think? I think I need a dark outline. I think I'm going to pull in a Stabilo, maybe. I don't know, I kind of like it. It adds a little pop of color. Again, it's got the blue there. It also has the blue over here with the bird. I like it. Nature can be fun. Nature has all kinds of crazy colors. Like it. Okay, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to get my leaf. I think I might cut my leaf out of some already colored paper. So let me go do that so we don't have to painfully watch me try to color Although that turned out good in the end. I do. I like it. I like it. I like it. Homemade. I did pull out my Stabilo. And I am just going to kind of just define this a little bit. Just a little bit more. Put a little bit of shape to it. Again, this is so relaxing. Oy, oy. Feel my shoulders dropping. But I do wish I had a red Stabilo. They're making all different kinds of colors now. It used to always be you just sort of had black and white and that was it. And now they've got all the colors. And then I'm going to put this little guy right here. Right, I took my little leaf out because I realized, oh, I could see what it looks like. And I just kind of put it there and I immediately loved it. So I thought, okay, I don't want to color it though. I'll put that in my, where I have some die cuts. I did add another strip, but I went with red, so it kind of coordinates. Now there's 3 red things. Of course, we love that. And I'll put that somewhere. So I just went and took a bunch of the leaves from that set, and I just cut them with scrapbook paper, random scraps of scrapbook paper. And I just thought I will see which one I like best. Like that, there's not a lot of contrast, but I could darken the edges. The 2 acorn shapes. So like these are a couple of the different leaves. So shelf that for now. I then also I grabbed a Tim Holtz clipping sticker book, and I had it open on a page, and these jumped out at me. So I didn't overthink this. I just grabbed them. Little things with a gentle nature makes me happy. And the fact that there's a future and a present, I'm not going to worry about that. Should be little things with a gentle nature make me happy. And I guess I could cut it. I could cut off the S. My English is not hugely strong, but And I already sort of put it where I like it. Now it doesn't make a ton of sense. Little things with a gentle nature make me happy. Yeah, I guess it does. Sense enough. Make me happy is more sense than it makes me happy. So you English majors, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Could ask my daughter. She's very good in English. I just feel like it's been so long and I didn't really have to do a whole lot. So I need a refresher on, plus the French English thing is very different. But I need a refresher on tenses and not so much tenses, but just writing English. Speaking English and writing English, very different. I'm just going to reinforce this with some glue. So this I think I will glue here. It's so funny, this says purples. They don't look very purple, but part of it is because of the background it's on. Wanted a tiny little clip. I have one sitting right here. Look at that. What are the odds? It's not cooperating, but you get the idea. Oh, I like that, and it goes with that. All right, let me get the leaf, and that will be it. I did want to show you this. It was a bit dark, still sort of, the opposite, where it's a bit dark. So I thought, what if I took some Lost Shadow oxide, one of the underutilized things I need to just get in there a bit on the edges. Of course, I don't think I'm tricky. There we go. I wanted to show you how I did in the end get this. I used a tweezer scenario. And then I did just scrape that on the edge. And I realized the scraping is what gave it that cool look. And then let that dry. So that, yeah, Lost Shadow Oxide. Finished. I think that is, I'm calling her done. I got the brad down. I'm going to add white pen. I'm really happy with how that turned out. Interesting, right? Didn't like it for a really long time, really struggled with it. But in the end, it really did come through. And again, the white, I think the leaf needs a little work, but we'll figure that out. But all in all, I like it. I like how the three fairies go up a little, because now we've got this sort of unfolding story of fragile and little things in nature. Make me happy. Very happy with how that turned out. Again, I feel like it fought me a bit, but I won. And I'll put that there, and I will show you when I've added to it. So thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you get the chance to get crafty. Really, it's so good for your health, so good for your stress level. Just get out and play. Get to add some details. Take an old page and just add some details. That's a fun idea too, right? Don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just get your hands dirty. That's what we want. So have a great day. Bye.